to the entertainment Talking Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. Just want to wish everybody a happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. And I hope you guys enjoy it as we're just one day away from Christmas. But in this video, I wanted to talk about Nick Gates. Also have another video up today talking about the New York Giants' fourth pick and who they could potentially take there. But a big problem for the New York Giants over the last 7 or 8 years, everybody knows, is the offensive line. And they tried to address that this year, and, it's been somewhat underwhelming. They go out, they bring in a Zeitler, Will Hernandez second year. They sign Nate Solder to a huge contract at Dave Gettleman's first year here. And they've tried to patch it up with some veterans, with some youth. Like I said, with an Hernandez, they brought in a Remmers. Jalapio's pretty young. It just has not worked. It's still not one of the best offensive lines in football. It's still below average, and it needs to be worked on this offseason, especially with Daniel Jones at quarterback. You want to give him as good of a foundation as you can, and we saw last week what Jones can do when he has a clean pocket. And even more importantly, we saw what Saquon Barkley could do. And the man that has been playing offensive line the last 2 weeks has been Nick Gates, the undrafted free agent out of Nebraska. We brought him in 2 years ago in 2018. He stands at 6'6", a little bit over 300 pounds, and he's played great for the New York Giants in these 2 games. Now, it's a limited sample size, but he's a guy Giants fans have been excited about for quite a while. He's young, he brings youth, and he may be a guy that could be a starting offensive lineman next year. The question is, where would you play him? You look around this roster right now, his natural position is a guard, even though he played tackle in college at Nebraska where he started 35 games. He was projected to be a guard in the NFL if he ever did get an opportunity. The Giants' strongest guys on the line right now are at the guard position. You're obviously going to bring Hernandez back as a starter next year. He's a promising prospect, second-round pick, even though he struggled a little bit this year. And Zeitler is your most accomplished offensive lineman. Now, he played some guard and he played some tackle, in which he had a PFF grade of 80 so far since playing. He was also responsible for that great block on the Saquon Barkley touchdown run against the Dolphins. And it got a lot of New York Giants fans excited. But like I said, he's played some guard, he's played some tackle, he's played great at both. You expect, I think Remmers is a good chance is off the roster next year. I think that Solder probably stays on, but the Giants could certainly draft Andrew Thomas or a left tackle in this year's draft, especially being that they're now picking 4th or even potentially 5th in the draft. And tackle may be the most important position. And even if they start Gates, they need as much depth and youth on that offensive line as they could get. Like I said, I don't expect them to cut Solder because he's a veteran and because of the money that he makes. It would be a $13 million dead cap hit. So I just don't see it unless you're able to trade him somewhere. But again, I don't see that happening. So being that I project the Giants to probably draft the tackle, they may not. But if they do draft the tackle in the first round, where would you play Gates? To me, the obvious answer, if he could do it, is center. And I'm going to jump into some of the quotes, and he seems to think he could. Could he play center? John Jalapio has struggled mightily at that position this year, has not played that well. And if he could get it done, you get a cheap, affordable player who's hungry to get a contract and prove himself in the NFL, and you could plug him in there, similar to Jalapio this year. But Gates seems to have a lot of potential, and he just seems to be a really good football player. But let's jump into some of the quotes by Nick Gates, the former undrafted free agent out of Nebraska. Here's the first one. If Gates, 24, ends up a potential starter in 2020, the Giants may have unearthed a gem outside of all those prime draft picks they have spent in other areas the past 2 years. Gates was tremendous at guard with an 82.1 overall grade according to Pro Football Focus, and he did not allow a single pressure. He stepped in for Mike Remmers at right tackle last month against the Jets and performed well there as well. So he's shown the ability to play both the guard and the tackle. Question is, can he play center, for me at least? Now, he certainly could be a jack-of-all-trades type offensive lineman, and we'll have to see what we do in the offseason. He then was asked, is he a tackle or a guard or even a center, having worked some of that at that spot as well. And he said, I'm an offensive lineman, Gate told NorthJersey.com and USA Today Network Northeast after practice Thursday. I'll play wherever I fit in, whatever spot opens up, and I'll make the most of it. I've learned so much having to adjust to playing in different positions. I came into the league having played exclusively at left tackle, and then I played a little bit at left guard after getting hurt last summer as a rookie. Learning how to play on the right side was really a muscle memory sort of thing, training your mind and body to follow through on the steps with technique, just everything. So, the question is, if he is best suited to potentially fill in that center spot next year, and you could save some money in free agency and spend it elsewhere, can Gates do it? If he can and he could do it at a high level, the Giants might have found themselves a gem, and they have a young hog molly to come up with in Hernandez. Hopefully, that's the case, because I've said this all year that they need as much talent and youth on the offensive line as they could get. You take a look at the roster on the line, the starting line. Solder's over 30. Zeitler's over 30. They're not spring chickens. Remmers won't be here. So they really only have one semi-accomplished young offensive lineman in Hernandez. So Gates could add to that. You go out, you draft another one, and then you're getting an offensive line coming up together that you hope could be here for 10 years. We'll have to see how it plays out. But Gates to me seems very promising. And I think Giants fans should be excited if he could take that next step forward next year and we could get an affordable offensive lineman in the starting lineup. My only question is, where does he play? A lot of it will depend on what the Giants do in free agency and in the draft. He may not start here, but I think there's certainly a good chance that the undrafted free agent out of Nebraska could be one of the 5 starting offensive linemen for the New York Giants next year. The question is, where will we place him? But as always, guys, if you liked what you watched, please subscribe, drop a comment, maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.